Hello everybody, this is Theoretical Bullshit, and I am sick. I'm sick. That's right, I have a cold, so I'm sick and tired. Not sick and tired as in fed up, just sick and coincidentally tired as well. But I'm sick and I'm tired, and I'm sitting at home. Oh, and I also recently discovered that I'm not an atheist, apparently. I thought I was, but then I went and I looked in the mirror. I don't know if you can see this, but I've got a... So apparently I'm Hindu. Because I've got the dot. It's funny, man. You can't choose your stars. You think you're an atheist, and then one day you go to the bathroom, and boom, you're Hindu. So praise Shiva, right? Anyway, I wanna talk about a video that Golden Gun made. He made a video. It was called "Random Thoughts on Atheism," I think, and it basically it revolved around the idea of purpose, and how in an atheistic worldview or in any secular worldview, I think you said thing about evolution is that it can't explain why, and no secular worldview can tell you why you're here, and so that that's I guess that was the whole point of the thing, is that atheists can't have a purpose, or don't have a purpose at least in their lives, but Christians or other theists do. In fact, you said another thing which was really, which threw me off guard. You said that I could, as an atheist, I could go out and kill myself, and nothing would be changed. No one would care because they aren't here for a purpose either. Now I'm trying to wrap my head around what essentially you're saying by that statement. I mean, what the intent behind that statement is, and I can only conceive of two things. Either you're saying that logically speaking, in a secular universe, it should be that way. If there were no God, then it should be such that if I were to go out and kill myself, then nothing would be changed and nobody would care because they aren't here for a purpose either. Or you're saying that it is that way for atheists and people who believe in it, adhere to a secular worldview. If it's the former, if you think that it should be that way, my question is, why? Why? What is it about a God not existing that means that if I were to die, nobody should care? Nobody who's lived with me, known me, been in love with me, been loved by me, been friends with me. Why is it that those people, just because there isn't a God, should not care about my death? And also, why is it that you think nothing would be changed? Nothing in what sense? Causally? Of course things would be changed. So that brings us to the other thing, is that, if you believe that it is that way for atheists and secularists, you're wrong. I don't know how else to say it. I mean, you're wrong. It's, if I died, people would care. Whether they believe they have a purpose or not, whether they believe in a God or not, if I died, people would care. Things would change. There would be a cause and effect chain of events after my death. I would affect people that I knew. I would affect people that I even didn't know indirectly through, a series of also, events. So I'm just trying to understand that statement. And I want to talk about purpose, this idea of purpose, and why it is that you believe that you can't have a purpose unless you believe in a God or a purpose giver. Because here's the thing about purpose, is that it's not a thing. It doesn't actually itself exist. You can't measure it. It's not hot or cold. You can't touch it, feel it, taste it, smell it. You can't get it wet. You can't dry it. It's not a thing. It's in nature, it's descriptive. It's an abstract entity. It's descriptive about things that actually do exist. And the thing about purpose is that it doesn't exist without consciousness. Because if you had an entire universe devoid of consciousness, if there was no, if God didn't have consciousness, and if human beings didn't have consciousness, and there was no sort of narrative about what is, then there would be no purpose. There would be no possibility for purpose to even exist, because purpose, in a sense, is, well, it's an opinion. It's descriptive. It's subjective. And if you're going to argue that purpose is objective, then why is it objective? Is it objective just because God assigned it? Well, if that's the case, then I would ask, what is it about God's idea for purpose in my life that is greater or more valid or better or more applicable than my own purpose for my life? What is it about God's consciousness that makes His purpose that He has assigned me any better than a purpose that I assign to myself, or a purpose that you assign to yourself, or the purpose that my parents may have thought of when they conceived me? What is it about God that makes His purpose relevant and mine as an atheist not? Why is it that atheists can't have a purpose for their own life? Why is it that if there wasn't a God, that the purpose that we assign ourselves as a culture, as an individual, as a family, as a relationship, why is it that those don't count? Is it because, do you believe that God's purpose is the only real purpose that matters because God is perfect? Is that why? Like it takes a perfect being to assign a purpose? If so, my question is one, why? Why does it take a perfect being to assign purpose for that purpose to be relevant? And my second question is how? How is God perfect? What is it about God that makes God perfect? How do you define perfection? Is it because God was here first? Is it because God is more moral? Is that what makes God perfect? And then you would say, of course, God's not just more moral, God is morally perfect. But then again, I ask you, according to whom is God morally perfect? According to Himself, God makes the rules and then follows His own rules, and therefore He's perfect. Well, what if, why is my idea of morality any more inferior than God's? So, if God says something is good and bad, then all good and bad really means are what God said. So again, we keep coming back to subjectivity. What is it about God that makes God perfect? And also, what is it? What about God? Does this question apply to Him? Does God have a purpose? Because obviously, we believe that the only reason, you believe that as an atheist I can't have a purpose unless I've been assigned a purpose by a being outside of myself, a being greater than myself. Well, what about God? Then does that mean God is purposeless? Does God not have a purpose because there's no being greater than God? Does God assign Himself a purpose? Or is God just, sort of living aimlessly without a purpose? And then would we be able to ask the same question of God? If God ceased to exist all of a sudden, would nobody care? Would it not matter? Just because God hadn't been assigned a purpose by an outside deity? And, of course, if God is able to exist without having been assigned a purpose by a greater being than Himself, why aren't we? Why aren't we able to abide by our own purposes? Why aren't our own purposes what matter and what make life special and important and meaningful? So those are my questions. Explain to me, what are the rules? What are the rules about purpose? What does it mean? And why does it only count if we've been assigned a purpose by a being different or outside or greater or independent of ourselves? Why is my own meaning for my life irrelevant? Explain to me the logic behind that statement. Okay, that's it. I'm done. So I guess that's a question for you, Golden Gun, and I guess anybody else who might read this who would make the same assertion about atheism and about a secular worldview. I want to close with one more comment. You said something to the effect of, you said, is it so bad to have the answers? Why is religion so bad? It is bad to have the answers if the answers are wrong. And that is the premise under which atheism operates. So yes, according to my belief that your answers are incorrect, religion is bad. So that's it. Let me know what you think, guys. Thanks.